What's going on, guys? It's Jimmy here. Welcome to our daily show where we discuss everything going on here in our country that you need to know about here on a daily basis. First, I want to start off this video a little bit differently. You guys may know that we're sick here, and so a little bit of update here on that. Yeah, if you've seen my previous video, you know that we were actually traveling last week. We were at Disney World in Florida. I always get Disney World and Disneyland the names confused, but we were in Florida at Disney World. We took our son Julian, who's 4, to Disney for the first time ever, and we had a lot of fun there. We went to the parks. We went to the 4 main Disney parks and had a lot of fun there. First time ever. Took my parents with us. Yeah, that was a lot of fun. But we got sick at the end of the trip. Yeah, so there's a lot of people there, and didn't think much of it. Um, my wife wasn't sick at all. It was really just me and Julian at first. Julian, this is actually the 4th time he's been sick this year. He's a preschooler. It's just that he's been sick all the time. So somebody at the park must have got us sick, which is kind of sad because, we actually postponed. So he was sick when we were supposed to go to the park, and we postponed it. Okay, because it's kind of what you're supposed to do. If you're sick, you're not really supposed to go to Disney, so you don't get other people sick. So we actually postponed our trip, and because again, we didn't want to go to the park sick, and we didn't want to get our parents sick, so we actually postponed our trip. And then the hurricane came to Disney, so we actually couldn't even get a flight in. So we he actually postponed it again because we couldn't even get a flight in. So it got postponed a little bit even more by happenstance because of the hurricane. Yeah, so it was kind of a wild and wacky trip. Um, but eventually the trip happened and we got in there. But, I was pretty sick the first day. I was in bed a lot, and Julian he was he was okay. I mean, we're both doing better already. But my wife, she's still pretty hammered, and she says she's not really getting better. So she took a COVID test, at home COVID test, the ones we get free from the government, and it was positive. Yeah. And then she took another one, a different brand, and that was positive too as well. Yeah. So we made it 2.5 years since, I don't know, how long has it been since the pandemic started? 2 years, 2.5 years, however long it's been. And yeah, when was it? March of 2020. So something like that. And we've made it this far without catching the virus. And we go to Disney World one time, and apparently there's sick people there just spreading it around, and we catch the virus. Yeah, so that's our luck. But what are we gonna do? Never take our kid to Disney World? I don't know. It's over and done with now. But isn't this kind of sad? Um, if you're sick, you're not supposed to go to Disney World. You're not supposed to take your sick kids to Disney World if they're sick. Yeah. So, I don't know. I digress. You can let me know your thoughts here in the comments, but it's just like, so for example, like our kid was our son Julian was sick the week before. It wasn't COVID. It was just a cold because we tested him. But nonetheless, we still didn't go. We didn't want to travel sick. We didn't want to. First of all, when our kid was sick in preschool, we didn't send him multiple times because he's been sick several times. Um, it's just unbelievable. Now the problem with regular school is that and I really don't like this rule at all. You guys, if your parents or if you've been parents in the past where your kids went to school, I really don't like this rule at all. Is that there's only a certain amount of days that kids can miss per year, and it's a very low amount. It's like 10 or 15 days per year or something like that, where it's actually to the point, our kid's in preschool, so he doesn't have this rule yet, and it probably varies state per state. But I don't like this rule because if your kid's sick, it almost gets to the point where like you have to send them to school. Now, obviously, not if it's COVID. That's a more severe one where you would want to hold them back for the 5 days or whatever going forward. Now, obviously, Julian's actually getting. He's actually almost completely better now. He's got very very minimal cough and he's bouncing around the house like crazy now at this point. Um, and I'm much better as well. My wife not doing good right now, but I mean she's it's not like she's dying or anything, knock on wood, prayers for her and everything. I mean, she's okay, but it seems like she's got a bad cold, a bad cold, like a not doing well cold, but yeah. So, but the problem is with school children is that like they have this rule where like you can only miss 10 days of school for the whole year for being sick. And you got to think, well, sometimes you're sick and you can miss a whole week, and that's 5 days, boom, right there. And then it's like, what do? You send your kid to sick, send your kid to school sick, so other kids can get sick. I mean, it's just absolutely ridiculous rule, and it's just one of those things that something's got to change with this. But even more so, like sending your kid to Disney World sick, it's just kind of ridiculous. And also, my parents are telling me they're sick as well. So, of course, we're just now finding out it's actually COVID and not just a cold. For me, I would have never even known it was COVID if my wife wasn't so bad. Um, yeah, so yeah, there's our update after making it for 2.5 years without catching this stupid virus. Go to Disney World one time and bam, there it is. So, nonetheless, I will keep you up to date here. Also, or how our family is doing here going forward. We'll see what happens here. Also, if you watched the last video here, the video I think it was the one last night. You should go and watch that video. I'll link you to that video here at the end of this. Basically the trivia question where you can win money from us is not really a trivia question, but it was tell us your most memorable Thanksgiving story or what you did for Thanksgiving this year. And there was a lot of very interesting Thanksgiving stories. You should go back and watch that video and read the comment section. It's kind of like the National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation video, where he goes and watches the old Christmas reel footage of his family and gets to reminisce about all the old Christmas memories. But in this case, literally hundreds or actually thousands of comments of people. I got cat hair flying around of people saying their Thanksgiving memories, their most memorable Thanksgiving memories. Really, a lot of good comments from our YouTube families. So, some really cool Thanksgiving stories. Yeah, so you should, I'll link you to that video here at the end of this video. You should go read the comments if you got some time. It'll really warm your hearts. There's some really good stories in there, and there's some bad stories too. There's some stories of people saying, that they miss their loved ones or their most memorable stories. Really, really good stories there. Really heartwarming stories. Really cool, and some really interesting stories of some stories you may have never heard. Some interesting stories you've never thought of before. Also, if you were looking for a post-Thanksgiving surprise, check this out. A southern U.S. storm threatening travel disruptions as it unleashes heavy rain and wet snow. You can see here down by Texas and above Texas in some areas, they're saying this storm tracking through the southern U.S. will pack heavy rain that will hinder post Thanksgiving travel and could trigger urban flooding in Houston, Atlanta, New Orleans, and the same storm will unleash worth of snow, months worth of snow on higher elevations of New Mexico and western Texas into Thanksgiving weekend. That's a scary sentence that it could unleash months worth of snow on higher elevations of New Mexico and western Texas. Yeah, and when Texas gets that kind of snow, look out because, Texas is not really equipped for that type of stuff. And their grid sometimes, yeah, not really up to that type of stuff. So, God bless. Let's hope that everything works out. Yeah, and this can go all the way from Texas to southern Mississippi and the Florida Panhandle. This is going to be a big one. It's multiple states wide, and it's going to continue going through, looks like most of the US as it goes for days here. Also, I wanted to share a Thanksgiving miracle story with you here today. A man went missing from a Carnival cruise ship in the Gulf of Mexico. What happened next may well be a Thanksgiving miracle. A Carnival cruise ship from New Orleans on Thanksgiving Eve. A man on board stepped away to go to the restroom but didn't come back. A 28-year-old simply went vanished. It was around 11 p.m. and the next day she reported him missing. Officials hadn't identified him. People noticed security started searching the boats with the photos of him and on their phone. The final check-in request was issued and passengers were told the arrival time for their port of call in Cozumel, Mexico would be delayed. And the Coast Guard got a call that the cruise passenger was missing. A search by air and sea went underway. A 200-mile critical zone went out and launched all available resources. That included a small boat from Venice, Florida, a helicopter base in New Orleans, and airplanes from Clearwater, Florida, and Mobile, Alabama. The search extended more than 200 miles. There, Thursday night was just above 70 degrees and colder in the Mississippi River. We knew that communication with the mariners in the Gulf of Mexico was going to be critical. About 20 miles south of the Southwest Pass, the crew of the bulk carrier Crenus was scanning the water. Then, around 8:25 p.m., they spotted something. Unlike anything I've been part of, it was the man. The Coast Guard Jayhawk helicopter out of New Orleans headed to the spot and hoisted the man out of or onto the helicopter. And he was responsive. The 28-year-old had fallen overboard, the agency said. Rescuers haven't been able to determine how long he was in the water, but it could have been more than 15 hours. If it was that long, it's the absolute longest that they have ever heard of, and it's just one of those Thanksgiving miracles. In his 17-year career, this case is unlike anything they've ever been a part of. I think it's just kind of blows the norm, the normalcy out of the water. It really just shows the will to live is something that you need to account for in every search and rescue case. Yeah, so a Thanksgiving miracle, that man was rescued and like finding a needle out of a haystack. So pretty amazing um, find really there to just find the man in the water really. So yeah, and really if you want to read some pretty interesting stories, I recommend you go and watch the previous video that I'll link you to here in a moment. Um, about well, it's the video from last night that I'll link you to, and also you can enter into our contest to win some money. And also you can read through the comments where you'll be able to read all of our viewers most interesting Thanksgiving memories or Thanksgiving stories that they commented on. There is so many that will make you laugh, warm your heart, or find really interesting. I was reading through a bunch, and really like the coolest thing that you'll probably read all this year. Honestly, I think we'll do it again for Christmas as well because it was such a really cool thing. Uh, I really just kind of did it on a whim instead of doing a trivia question for the last day, and we're gonna be doing that again for Christmas, and maybe I'll do it for Christmas as well because it was so cool to see and hear everybody's most memorable Thanksgiving thing that they ever had. So yeah, let me know your thoughts, and you can still go and comment back your most memorable Thanksgiving stories that you ever had on that video. So I'll link you to that now. But yeah, and by the way, I want to say thoughts and prayers to anybody that has COVID right now or had COVID. And remember, thoughts and prayers because it's still going on right now. Remember, the China is in a full-blown lockdown right now for tens of millions of Americans. So remember, the virus is still real. So please be careful. Um, take precautions when you can, and I'm not going to tell anybody to get the vaccine or not. That's your own personal preference. But remember that the virus is out there. The virus is out there. So just be aware of that. A lot of people don't even realize that it's a thing. It's a thing. People don't even seem to realize that. So please be safe and be kind to others and be precautious. Be precautious. So I'll keep you up to date here. Make sure to subscribe to it down below to our YouTube channel. It's completely free to do so. New videos come out here every day at 10 a.m., 3 p.m., and 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It's new videos are every single day. And thanks for liking and sharing these videos. You can click here to see that video from last night. That's a really good video, and you'll get to see everybody else's really memorable Thanksgiving stories. Really good video. So click on that video next. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next video.